I'm going to show you how to set up a Vitrograph kiln. Now, a Vitrograph kiln is a way of producing some glass stringers that are a little more unusual. When the kiln is running, we're going to create these long, thin strings of glass, and you can bend them and twist them and manipulate them. And then they can be used as design elements for your bowls or your plates that you're making. The first thing we want to start out with is a piece of fiberboard. Now, this is a 1/2-inch fiberboard. Again, it's made up of ceramic fibers, so it won't catch on fire when we're going to put it on here. And then the first thing you want to do is drill a hole in the very center. Now, you don't want to drill too big of a hole because we're going to have to set a flower pot on top of that, but it needs to be big enough so that when the glass drips out of the flower pot, it's going to drip through the hole. So what I'm using here is this is a inexpensive racking system, and it's made out of metal, which is important because the kiln's going to get probably 1800 degrees, and so you don't want to do anything made out of wood because it might catch on fire. So I'm going to put this here, and then I'm going to use a kiln that is, we refer to this type of a kiln as a segmented kiln. You'll see it comes apart, and this really works best for this kind of a kiln because now when I open it up, there's no bottom to it, and I'm going to set this up here on top. And that fiberboard then becomes my bottom for my kiln. Then I'm going to take a flower pot. Now what's important is that depending on what kiln you're using, you'll notice I don't have a lot of space here. I've got about 4 inches. So you want to get a flower pot that's only about 4 inches high. And if your glass rods or bits of glass are too big, you'll need to cut them down, or you can sometimes just lean them over so they're not sticking up. But you don't want any glass sticking up out of the top of the pot. So I'm going to fill this with a lot of bits of odds and ends of glass. It's a great way of using up scrap, and I'm going to set that in there. Normally what I would do then is kind of peek underneath to make sure that, hey, I did a nice job. You want to make sure that the hole is right where you want it to be so that when the glass gets molten, it's going to drip out, and then we're going to go in there and manipulate it with like tweezers, or sometimes they use like barbecue tongs and kind of twist the glass and do different things. So then I'm going to take the top and put it on, and this kind of seals it all in. And then at this point, we'd plug the kiln in. Usually we just turn it on high and let it just run. It takes about 45 minutes or an hour for the glass to get molten enough to start dripping out of the flower pot. But that's how you set up a Vitrograph kiln.